Well, I'm not ready yet. I should stop in the. Calling it back. No, he's not. You better.
I stay here.
At 7 o'clock, do I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Hearing. And now we will get the regular meeting, but the pledge of allegiance.
One nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilperson Suzanne Souter.
Here.
Councilperson Nerman Zubaka.
Here.
Councilperson Andrew Zelt.
Here.
Absent is Councilperson Joseph Day. Also present, Mayor Valerie Leary, City Administrator William Barthel, City Treasurer Janet Carlin, Chief of Police Richard McCabe, Building Official Jeffrey Bergstrom, City Solicitor Max Walton.
In a forum, this meeting is now in session and we'll begin with the minutes of the September 12th regular meeting and the September 21st special meeting. Are there any comments or corrections to the minutes? I had two things for the minutes of September 12th. On the first page, under the tourism director presentation, in the second bullet point, says a SWOT analysis. That's an acronym, which is SWOT. And just so anyone reading the minutes years from now, it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's a standard way of analyzing an organization or a situation. And then on page 3, this is a simple typo. Under reports from the administrator, the final item, bullet point, feasibility study for security at the city offices, the last sentence says coordinate security, the security issues with architecture. I think the first word security can be deleted. So it would then coordinate the security issues with architecture. Correct, everyone? Okay, and I didn't have anything else. Is there a motion to accept the minutes subject to corrections?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Minutes are approved. Ms. Carlin, have the treasury?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
September 21st minutes.
Oh, yes, pardon me. And is there a motion to approve the minutes for the September 21st special meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So minutes for the September 21st special meeting are also approved. Thanks for catching that. Okay, Ms. Carlin.
Good evening.
You can use the podium if you like, or
Now stay here.
you may stay wherever you feel like to.
Thank you. The total, this is the unaudited treasurer's report as of September 30th, 2023. Total unrestricted funds, $10,191,196.49. Total restricted funds, $2,853,046.85. Total cash in the accounts, $10,444,243.32. Last month, Mr. Nerman, Mr. Zabaka asked about the delinquent tax collection. And as you can see on your budgeted report, the percentage is up to 230%. Well, we had sent 18 properties to munitions, and 7 of those paid in full. And since last month, we've had another $5,000 come in. We've been aggressive in addressing that particular situation. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Carlin? Okay, is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report as submitted subject to audit? All in favor?
Thank you.
Minutes approved, thank you. Mr. Bartel.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Crowder. I do have a couple of updates. I know council was interested in pertaining to them this evening. In regard to the stage, I have met with a gentleman from a company called Light Action Productions. They are a production company out of Wilmington, a rather significant production company in that they do concerts, political events, and other things. They provide stages. They provide a sound room for bands to come in and I don't necessarily, it's not like a recording studio, but come in and practice before they go in the concert. And I'm talking about major bands. So anyway, the reason I'm telling you that is because I met with him and I said, you know, I'm having some trouble finding more than one company, which I think I mentioned to council a few meetings, well, I think earlier in the summer. I found one company called Astor Stages, and they're out of Pittsburgh, Kansas. So this production company was familiar with that manufacturer. So in fact, what he did for me, this gentleman, Scott Humphrey, is to investigate further that stage with the manufacturer and look into some other potential companies, one in particular out of California, which actually I had come across as well. There aren't a lot of people manufacturing these things. The production for the company out of Canada that makes these things was into the $100,000, and they're typically bigger stages. I also checked with the city of Wilmington to see what they had bought, and they had purchased something. I think it was also out of Canada, but again, the cost on it was about 100,000 plus. The stage I'm looking at is about 55 to 60,000. So where I left it was I let Scott know that I was leaving the city, but that I would introduce him to Ms. Souter, and certainly I can make that introduction based on, you know, the agreement that we have and what have you. But and so I will make that introduction and try to facilitate moving forward with that. Now, he is trying, I think, like I said, I think he's gonna buy one of these stages for himself. So I said, see if you can get us a better price if we're buying 2 as opposed to 1. So that's where I am with that. So hopefully by next spring, there will be a new stage. But I told him I would have to come back to these. The other thing I know you were interested in was the dog park and security at 220. I did meet with Layla Hammerlin a couple of weeks ago as well. She basically is ready to bring a presentation to council for the security feasibility study that we're doing at 220. I suggested to her that she could probably wait until best case late November or early December until you have a full complement of council people. And so she is ready to make that presentation. The dog park, she's been in the process of just basically simplifying a layout so that we could go to bid with it. I think she's ready for it. It's taken a little longer, quite frankly, than I had hoped for, but she's ready to do that. And once that is completed, you know, we can put that out to bid and you can go to build it. However, I understand at the last council meeting, which I did not attend, that you were told that the trustees have provided us with an MOU for that. We have not received that yet. Okay, and that I've been asking for over a year. We've gone to their attorney. I went to the last, previous trustee president, and he had instructed their attorney, Andy Taylor, to send that over to me. He has not. I've let Max know about that, and hopefully maybe you can shake Mr. Taylor up a little bit because it's really just waiting with him. My understanding, however, is based on my conversations again with Pete's owner, was that they're still full on board with this. I just don't have any MOU from them. So that would be something you're going to want to absolutely, you know, follow up on. I also believe there was a question about separation day. Last week I met with, the folks from Event Allies and they are ready. And again, I explained to them the situation, that Ms. Souter will be the next council president and that, at some point, they should probably sit down with at least Ms. Souter and maybe one other person from council, if that's what you decide you want to do. They are preparing an agreement for next year. And so that would be something, of course, that you would have to decide whether or not you want to move forward with that. Otherwise you wouldn't. I think there was a question, about, what we currently have available for the separation day funds. We currently have $68,240, call it $248 per fund for separation day. And that includes the check that we received for fiscal year 24, which was $36,050. Unless you have other questions about separation day, that's all I had on that.
I'm good for it, yeah.
And then I just had two other items. The senior center has notified us that as of January, the rent for this room is going from $75 to $250. It's because of issues, just logistical issues that they do have costs associated with it. There's someone here who's, here every time you have a meeting, or most of the times we hold a meeting to open up the building. And so I did receive notification of that. And then the last thing I have is the Bull Hill Boat Club. And I think you were on council when they came to us and they wanted to extend the lease agreement down at the, down on the water, down at the, in Bull Hill. Council had agreed to extend the lease, but we required an insurance policy. Well, they couldn't provide that, and basically the old Bull Hill Boat Club kind of dissipated and went away. So we took possession, we took control over it, since it is our property and basically for liability purposes. I've been approached by a gentleman who, was previously in the boat club, and evidently they're putting together other folks who have come to me and said they are interested in revisiting, putting together another lease for that property. They have approached an insurance company for that, but have been advised that probably the best way for them to get insurance would be to tear down or take away that dock and, and which is decaying anyway. So my thought is, and they said they'd be willing, they would send a group of people to go over, take that down, whether they get the insurance or not. Which I think would be advisable, except from an insurance perspective and a liability perspective. And I don't know how they would, I don't know how we would cover that or how they would cover it if they're really not at this time an organization. I know they're putting together the organization. I don't know where they are with it. I'm mentioning that to you now. I think it's something that you probably should put on next month's agenda and maybe have somebody come from the organization and explain to you exactly what their thoughts are and exactly what they want to do. Like I said, I think it's a good idea to remove it, but I just have some concerns, like I said, from a liability.
I just want to make sure I understand you correctly. Are they saying that they, whoever the people are who are trying to constitute the boat club, would remove the dock themselves?
Yes, they have
Like
people,
volunteers,
yes.
not professionals.
I don't know if there are professionals in that
Dock
group.
removal.
Yeah, they would pull that out too. No, I'm sorry. I think the floating dock would remain. They would take out the steps and the pilings that.
But the issue is if
They would need some floating. Well, they're gonna have to come and make that presentation. That's what I'm saying.
But if I understand, the issue would be if they do this and somebody gets hurt, then the city's liable.
That would be my concern.
So, well, I guess we can have them come and talk to us, see what they have to say.
I was asked tonight if I approached this with council. I said I would.
I can get the information for the contact person, and you can have them come and make their case.
Can I just ask what senior center has that contract been?
We don't. We really just have a disagreement. I have not seen any. I'm just curious.
We've never really.
If it is, I'd have to go back and look at it. If it is, it's a 30-day. It's not something like a 5-year agreement that they're doing this kind of as a favor to us.
Thank you, Mr. Brightfield.
To start with, I think everybody's aware that we had an incident just up the road a couple hours ago. So what I can share with you now is that just after 3 o'clock, our officers responded to the parking lot there at the liquor store. The liquor store was not involved. It just happened to be kind of a landing spot for what we think was a road rage incident. That led to a double stabbing. Two 20-year-old, 18-year-old both stabbed multiple times by the suspect. I think we're still on the scene now, getting the stuff that we need to preserve the scene and to collect evidence. We also have a large group of people out looking for the suspect. So this is an active case. As soon as we have some more information, we'll share that. I would recommend that folks follow us on our Facebook page. That's where we're going to update real-time stuff. Quickly, this monthly report has been submitted to our website. It's up. It should be up today. Then no questions. I can move on to the other incident that we investigated this week. We've had a lot of complaints about drug activity in Charlton area, so our officers were very proactive and made a hand-to-hand arrest September 24th, just after 8 o'clock at night. Our officers witnessed this hand-to-hand where a drug dealer hands drugs to a buyer, caught them both, made the arrest, seized the drugs, seized the vehicle. And the arrest actually led to identifying somebody who was wanted out of the Dominican Republic for murder. So pretty significant arrest on all guys there. And that leads me to another concern. I know last month we talked about the marijuana law and what they mean for us, what they look like. And I think most people, when you talk to other jurisdictions that have these laws, will hear a lot about the smell of marijuana prevalent of wherever you go. I have some talking points that was given to the police by the Attorney General's office, recognizing what needs to do for us. So there's a little bit of a learning curve. But there are some areas I wanted to highlight for folks that they understand where some of the boundaries are. In a nutshell, it is now legal to possess marijuana if you're 21 years old. So, that possession can't be any more than an ounce of marijuana. It's a lot of marijuana, but that anything up to an ounce, anything over an ounce. It is illegal to consume it in areas of the public or in moving vehicles. So sidewalks, parks, and places like that, you can't use it. It legalizes paraphernalia that's used for marijuana. It does not remove marijuana from the controlled substance law. So the personal use quantity remains an unclassified misdemeanor. So if we make a personal use arrest over an ounce, it's still an unclassified misdemeanor. Consuming marijuana in an area accessible to the public or in a moving vehicle is also an unclassified misdemeanor. And then individuals under the age of 21 use or possess marijuana, that's a civil citation. In a nutshell, sidewalks, streets, alleys, parking lots, parks, playgrounds, stores, restaurants, or other areas to which the general public are invited are considered acceptable to the public. An outdoor location within 10 feet from what we typically drive. An outdoor location 10 feet from the entrance, the exit, the window, open ventilation intakes of any public or private building. That might be an area we may make some arrests or at least try to intervene. So residents don't smell marijuana. We cannot control the odor if it's coming from one house to another. That's really where things get a little dicey. And we were told as the police committee, it was made clear to us that these laws, they really don't want us to get too creative with this, right? The idea was to make this legal. So, but we are going to respect the complaints of some of our residents that are uncomfortable with this odor if it's being used within any side, within any of these parameters. So, I mean, that's it in a nutshell, and we're still learning, so this is gonna take some time to get used to. But I'm free for, and I've said this to residents, they wanna come in and have some discussions about what they're seeing, what they're smelling, what they're experiencing, we can try to get some kind of resolution to that.
Steve, I just want to make sure I understand. I believe the resident of Shawtown who was complaining last week said people were smoking it on their front step. Now, the houses in Shawtown come right up to the sidewalk, but technically, I guess if they're on their step, that's private property, right?
Right.
But the houses are close together, so they're within 10 feet
Yes.
of someone else's house. And so that could be grounds for misdemeanor or whatever.
So what we might take a look at is any location within 10 feet from the entrance, exit, window that open, ventilation intakes of any public or private building. That's where we may try to do this with intervention, right? Just, some outreach.
Have a conversation.
Right.
You're annoying your neighbor, et cetera.
And obviously taking into consideration, retaliation factors and things like that. But, if it comes down to us if we have to take this for a test drive in court, I think we're probably will. But the other part of this is we're gonna have to witness it. A resident telling us that it's happening and us not, we're gonna have to, and I imagine there's gonna have to be physical evidence associated with it. And so, these are the things that they're trying to get away from, stacking our evidence lockers that are right now loaded with marijuana to try to reduce that. But, so this is tricky, but we'll figure it out.
Any other questions? I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to put this out. We are taking, suggestions now for families that we can adopt for the Christmas holidays. We'd like to get started early, so typically we do, 3 or 4 families. Last year went really well. We had everything done in our community room, so the families would show up. They could bring their kids, good pictures, and then they'd leave with a lot of stuff, a lot of haul. And, most of that was due to the generosity of the trust and a lot of businesses and residents here, so. And then very lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't say this. I know, our city administrator is retiring. And, I really have to share this with council and with the public that it's been an incredibly challenging 5 years for us. This was a lot of firsts in this business. And, on top of that, we inherited, an agency that needed a lot of work. And, we are very proud of where we are right now, and we owe a lot of that to the support and to the guidance that we got from our city administrator. So, you'll be missed, and we appreciate your being on the heat. That's all I have.
And, it's on the adopted family today, contact Catherine Schubert.
Yes.
Anyone who wishes to discuss the family.
Yeah, we'll put something out, on Facebook,
Okay.
and there'll be a link hopefully to her email. That's all. Thank you.
All right, council communication. Mr. Zoe, do you have anything for tonight?
I have a question about the season light, maybe removed in the near future at Delaware. 6. So are we doing anything in the community to maybe get a blinking stop sign or something there?
We did. Jeff, you want to address that? We reached out to the D-squared people. Mr. Day had asked me to do that. I asked Jeff to reach out and you want to just.
We've reached out to the D-Squared Center, and DelDOT's opinion now is that those blinking stop sign lights are inappropriate, detract from public safety. And we're up to, we can make sure that when the stop light goes down, you can put a brand new stop sign ahead sign, the yellow banner, new device, new traffic control device, but that's what DelDOT recommends.
I mean, I see them, they are very prominent. I think it stands out. So is it up to them or is it up to us?
It is part of the state highway, and if you would go ahead and put signage up that they don't approve of, I think that would put us at some risk.
So take it down. I learned the hard way that I call people that don't try to get here. So, and in the absence of a lot of crash data at the intersection, I would, change a whole lot. Just a thought.
And in relation, there's not so much to for blinking, but Mr. Zabaka had suggested last week that we add signs saying yield to pedestrians in crosswalk. And we discussed, well, there's no point in doing that before they take things down and redo the intersection. But when they start putting stuff back, can we request that those signs be under the stop signs or something of that sort?
Yes, we can certainly request that.
I mean, I know we can't put it there ourselves from what Mr. Walton just told us, but we can ask for it, right?
Sure. Yes.
And doesn't it make sense to ask for it now while they're putting up new signs anyway?
I think those are not a very difficult thing for them to provide, and I think the time when they're gonna actually do it is the time to ask. I think we could ask now, but there are an awful lot of intersections in the state, and I have a hunch what they're gonna do.
It depends on the timing of that. We were told late September, because I sent out an email to all of you and we put it in the weekly, I think that, okay, next week, a week from today, because I got it on a Monday, we're gonna start construction. So we advertised that, we put it on the webpage, and I reached out to Peter Haig again, I think it was last week, might have been earlier, well, might have been Monday, but I reached out again and said, hey, what's going on? We advertised this, there's been no construction done. So I was told that, so reevaluating the time. So I am not sure exactly when they are, like I said, I thought they were gonna start it. And by the way, just so council is aware, I also reached out to Peter about having an opportunity to talk to their contractor so that when they pave, that intersection, if we could talk to them about using their contractor to give us a number to go down Fifth Street. And so I reached out to the local or the regional office about that. I've sent a couple of emails to them. I'll follow up again with them tomorrow, but my recommendation is when these guys come, hopefully the regional office will have given us a contact, given us a contact so we can get a price from them so that we can, piggyback onto that.
Right, while they're here and have
Right.
the equipment and all that
But
stuff.
as I said, they kind of give they give different signals, no pun intended.
Okay. Mr. Zabaka, do you have anything?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just wanted to, let the public know that today was, official opening of the Battery Park Playground. We had a ribbon cutting ceremony, we had a councilperson Souter and councilperson Zell attending. We had a couple of city employees attend as well later on, as well as Senator Nicole Ford, Representative Mimi Brown, and Representative Cook. A lot of families and kids were playing there already. Mayor Lear was there as well. It was nice to attend an event for 4 p.m. in my opinion, and huge success. I thought one of the thank Bill and Rick for helping move playground in the right direction and making sure that our little ones can have a new place to play. So thank you guys for your efforts, and everybody else on the playground subcommittee as well. I just wanted to follow up on elections and voting, something I've been talking to Bill about. I was talking about, a desire to include even more, have a higher voter turnout in the city. So I'm just looking into, a mail-in option for potentially, where we can, as a city mail, a little flyer about upcoming election, where it's being held, date, as well as, how can you vote, and how can you register to vote so that we can, get more voices. And I think, as of this afternoon, can I share that? Yeah. I was just about to say, Mr. Bartel reached out to, Mary Ann from Board of Elections just to see if there's any ideas for that. So that's just kind of status right now. I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but, I think we're looking into options of kind of being actively, engaged to get more.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to, so I think the council president to be as a issue in which we're going. And I think that that's something that we probably need to do by ordinance.
Okay.
So going forward, so that would be probably post-election. I know we're gonna have some other things, we may as well put them all together.
Well, I encourage everybody to go and vote on November 4th. This is my platform to do so. Everybody's vote counts, so we have two great candidates, and I hope that we can, have a good election coming up. Update on my newsletter I mentioned last month. I know that, all of you have been clicking on my website and trying to look for my newsletter. I'm just kidding. But basically I'm finalizing design, so it's not up and I'm running it. Hopefully by the end of the month, I'll have that running, but they'll be updated soon. I'll leave to Mayor Leary to update about our flooding meeting that we had with Denver and City and several representatives. So that we're not repeating the efforts there, since she was the one who organized this meeting. And then wanted to thank everybody for coming out to Block Party and Art on the Green, and being patient with rescheduling due to the weather. Thank you guys for coming out. It was great to, fundraise for these great causes. And lastly, I wanted to thank Mr. Bartel for 14 years of service to the city through city council and city administrative position. I think you will be definitely missed, and thank you for everything.
Oh, thank you. Last month, we started keeping an action list of things that we wanted to be sure to follow through with this month, and Bartel hit most of those. That Mr. Day had an item on the agenda to review the transportation plan, and we haven't forgotten about that. Mr. Day is away work meeting, but what we hope to do is perhaps organize a special meeting, because that's a pretty big subject to squeeze into an ordinary council meeting. Because we want to review the plan and perhaps prioritize it and then pick our top items, and hopefully by working with our state representatives, get DelDOT to move some of those up further on their schedule, sooner rather than later on their schedule. They've been going sort of back and forth, moving it from, 12 years out to 8 years out, and then back to 10 years out. We'd like to see more like 4 or 5 years out at that. But if we can present, we've done this review, then maybe that will bring faster action. As I mentioned last week, of course, we're competing with all the other towns who have transportation problems they'd like DelDOT spend money to solve. I also attended the dedication of the playground. It was a good event. As he said, the kids seem to be having a great time. I'd like to add thanks to Suzanne Swift, because she's the one who really kicked that project off and organized the committee and has served as its chair. And she and the others on the committee have worked very hard to make that happen. And 2 years for something like that in Newcastle is probably a record. Kudos to the committee. And finally, I also would like to add the thanks to Mr. Bartel for his years of service, 4 years as council president and 10 years as city administrator. He's done a lot of hard work for our city, and we appreciate it. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And that's all for council communication. Business from the mayor.
Greetings to everyone here at the front of the room, in the audience, and I don't know if we got the Zoom link up and running, but if you're there, greetings. Every month there are many national awareness days. It's often hard to pick just one. This month we have a country music one for cookbook authors and another one for culture area. But one of the events this month was breast cancer awareness, which is near to my heart, as I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018, and I'm sure that every person in this room has family or friends who have been diagnosed. Early detection by having yearly mammogram, and for me, that's how mine was found. So please consider this a reminder to schedule and keep your mammograms clean. Many can also be diagnosed with breast cancer. So any kind of irregularity in the area, such as a lump, pain, wounds that appear without specific injury, or enlarged lymph nodes, should be checked out by your physician as soon as possible. And I would encourage reaching out to the Delaware Breast Cancer Coalition. They're a great organization to reach out to as they help support those diagnosed with breast cancer, as well as support families during the various stages of treatment, recovery, and survival. Month were affected by adverse weather. Throughout the month, movies and concerts were continually scheduled. It was good luck that Art on the Green and Block Party on the Green were able to move to the following weekend, and the weather was absolutely perfect. The Belgian Brew Festival on the Queen that we located at the barn at Penn Farm, and all events were very successful. While I was not able to attend the block party due to work, I did get there in the last 15 minutes, and will tell you that the music and the lights on the green created magic. So thank you to all of the people who organized and volunteered their time for all of those events. The block party was a fundraiser for the senior center because, as we've heard, the Delaware Christian Medical moved into the building and was leaving them with a minimum of a $13,000 shortfall. I just found out that pending some outstanding invoices, that event will have raised between $15,000 and $17,000. Denrick, we did meet with Kevin from Denrick, and I actually am going to ask Mr. Barthel to detail what went on with there, because he actually did some of the action items, one of the action items.
I'm sorry, in regard to,
That the Denrick meeting we had regarding Route 9 flooding.
okay, well, I think the biggest discussion, and point that I thought you were making was from what Mr. Emery had dropped off, which was the filling in of the marsh area. And it was pretty much determined, or what we received from Jeff, the conversation we had with Jeff, or his point of view, as well as Kevin Donnelly from the Conservation District, was that to dredge that would not be particularly doable, because A, the cost to do it, and B, because it would just most likely fill back in anyway within a short period of time. The point of view was that we can still backhoe, if you will, near the turn where the pizza, where the yes, Three Countries, yes, thank you. Three Countries pizza areas that they can, DelDOT can go in there, and I've asked DelDOT to go ahead and backhoe that. And of course, their point of view is that if you're still having issues with the marsh, it's not going to remedy that area completely. So I think that the decision was made to just continue doing that. And then to the point of view with what you could do with Wilmapco and Route 9, which is really the crux of the problem, which is raise the road. And that was pretty much what they were, what the consensus was that you need to raise this road. Otherwise, you're not going to really impact that flooding by dredging or backhoeing on 9 itself.
Thank you. I know I put you on the spot. I'm sorry, I didn't give you a heads up on that.
Could you tell?
I do. Put it on a regular schedule for dredging instead of the road right there.
Back.
It does solve the issue. It's the issue. I attended the Delaware League of Local Governments dinner where Max Walton, together with Molly DiBianco, Park Hill, gave a brief presentation on weed at work and land use relating to the marijuana legislation. Also, the grand opening of the DNEC Line Workers Training Facility down in Savannah was just last week, and I attended with Scott Blomquist and Bill Lindbergh. Bill is one of our line. Made our city's flag while at the top of the tower. You'll see photos in the upcoming tweet. At Bridgewater Jewelers, I reread the proclamation from the city in honor of their anniversary because it was in front of family and friends. Unfortunately, I didn't win the diamond earring. The first community outreach that was scheduled for Saturday, October 7th in Shawtown was postponed due to weather or the forecast of adverse weather. It has been rescheduled for this Sunday, the 15th, noon to 2 p.m. still at Suzie Park. Councilperson Souter and Zell will be attending. Let's hope the weather is mild and we don't have to reschedule this one. Then on Saturday, November 11th, Councilperson Day and Souter and myself will be in Dalvinsville from 1 to 3. Halloween's coming up, so let's be prepared and aware of the children and their families who will be throughout the city during trick or treat. And the annual parade is on Monday, October 30th at 6 p.m. Last but certainly not least, I would like to thank the city administrator, Bill Barthel, for his dedication to the city these past 14 years. We have often not agreed, but he has provided service and dedication to the city and nobody can. I wish him well in his future retirement endeavors. Thank you for your time and attention.
Okay, public comments on either agenda items or general items. And it's 3 minutes as usual. You're right.
I just want to ask the council as well.
Could you give your name for the?
I'm sorry, I forgot that. It's Dorothy Biskin from 26 East Third Street. I want to ask the council to plan to do a long-term plan for development in town, because we have a lot of apartments that are being built. I think there are something like 1,000 that are sort of in the pipeline, maybe more about the amount, but there are a great many. And my understanding is that actually renters are not as good for our tax base as people who own properties. I know that Ms. Souter has said that we should have a lot of rental units for young people so that they can live in town. And I think that's very good, but up to a point. But I really think the whole town needs to be considered. One possible template that I wish we would look at is the one that Kennett Square used, where they got a big company to come in. And it not only had people working there, but it meant that there were a lot of restaurants that opened, a lot of small shops, because the workers would come out to go out during lunch and stay for lunch dinner, and the town had become very vital, and it was really almost moribund at one point. I used to work there part-time, and I saw what happened.
Bill Everybolt. Few weeks ago, the planning committee had a meeting where they had a vote where they decided to eliminate the requirement for conceptual drawings that are required to be presented as part of the permitting of the process to go and get the approval for building of projects in the city. This is a process that is a requirement that goes through the county, and the city kind of follows the county process. When you go for a building permit, you submit a blueprint package, which consists of a elevation page, which is a basic drawing of the front, side, back of whatever you're building, home, office, warehouse, building, whatever. This gives basically the idea of what the building is going to look like. When you do the same thing in the city, you would expect the same thing. When you come in front of a city like Newcastle and you are building a project of apartments in the city of Newcastle, and you are standing in front of a city meeting like this, and in front of the residents, and you want to build apartment buildings, you want residents to see what you're building. Conceptual drawings are something that would present to the residents of Newcastle, showing them exactly what you are going to build. This would give them the idea. The committee has eliminated with this vote, this exact process. By that vote, the people of Newcastle no longer have an option to see exactly what a builder is going to build. When we have these little meetings and the builder stands up here with this poster board of this pretty picture of the apartment building that they're going to build, and you all get to see what they're going to build, the planning committee has made this vote to eliminate that. So you no longer have the option to see what they're going to build. The only people that may see it at some point in their little three-ring binders here was the city council. They took this vote and made it, I guess, a ordinance on themselves. I don't know that city council, it's an automatic approval or not. I've got 3 minutes I'm watching right here. I'm begging council to not approve this and to push for the committee to not let this go through. It's the right of the city residents to be able to see what's being built in their town. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lee.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Soma Padmalingam. I have been having a business in this city since July of 1980, and I retired in August of 2015. I also have been a resident of the city since possibly 1998, and then we moved into the present building on Chestnut Street about 17 years ago. What I am here is, I have observed the bad flooding where the Newcastle Avenue runs into 6th Street, which is always blocked when there is a rain of more than 2 inches. Also the Cloud 9, I myself have been in a bad situation of my car, not able to move. That was about almost 20 years ago. So I think I want to ask the elected officials, including the mayor, what plans you all have about, especially 6th Street
which is within the city and in the outskirts, outline, in the recent past, about 2 years ago, there was a major bill for infrastructure where the federal government was helping a lot of town cities and states about big money. So whether there had been any attempt to put these two in that planning. So that's my main question to the elected officials, including the mayor.
Really, we don't normally get into extended conversation in response to questions raised during public comment.
Yeah, this is my comment, is this is the priority, it's got to be addressed and it be handled by getting in touch with the federal government, the state government, and also the county.
Let's say this, we've had extensive conversations on these issues. We have a sea level rise task force that's working on these issues and has gotten into a federal program to help work on controlling flooding in the city, not specifically at that intersection, but flooding in general, that could cost up to $37.5 million of federal money. So we are not ignoring.
And that is because I have been away for a while. I want to make sure that it becomes a priority, especially when the infrastructure is planning to help bridges and wherever there is flooding. So if it goes on, then we will be in line to get some help. That's all my concern. Thank you very much.
Few issues I'd like to bring up. Bill Gross, 1301 13th Street. One is, in talking about the election, it's again a pitiful situation that in state law, if someone is running as unopposed, they're still on the ballot to allow write-ins. We're so quick to have someone fill a seat when the council president could fill in temporarily. To have the person running for city council president not be on the ballot, not allow write-ins, or be at the forum or anything is horrendous. Again, it continues with the hiding of situations in the city, not being clear, not being transparent. And that's just a problem that our city keeps going through. That's why we've lost the mayor. That's why we've lost council president. And as our fine journalistic rag keeps saying, it's a trend. It's not a trend. We've got a problem in our city and it needs to be recognized. And she just smiles. She shrugs it off. Part of the issue is when people go to vote and formulate who you want to vote for, email the candidate themselves. Don't go by the slanted stuff that you read because it's not complete. You disgust me.
Back at you, big order.
It's not the forum for personal attacks.
It's not a personal attack.
What sounds like-
When we're talking about people not getting the full story, not getting the full news, not getting everything that's out there, only one view, only. How is that a personal attack and not a problem for the whole city? Oh, that's right, we don't answer questions.
All right.
That's another thing.
Statement.
That's another thing that I'm asking council to do, is change that stance where people can't ask questions. We as taxpayers, we as the public deserve answers. And to ask a question within our 3 minutes and expect an answer
I don't think it's too personal. I don't think it's too obtrusive. I don't think any of that. All we need is a little transparency, the ability. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Can I have may I?
Well, thank you.
May I just wanted to address the idea of the council presidency. And I just want to read from the state code title 15, which I have in front of me. And under section 7550 says, provisions of municipal charters or ordinance inconsistent with the provisions of subchapters 4 and 5, that's of the state municipal election code, shall be considered repealed. So in other words, the state code supersedes any conflicting provisions. The section of the code, title 15-7555, and I cite you to section J. It says, where the number of qualified candidates for an office is equal to or less than the number of seats up for election, as there were with the council president, the Board of Elections shall declare the candidate or candidates elected. Board of Elections does not have the authority to seat and revoke the candidate. The code makes it expressly clear, the state code makes it expressly clear, there's an election to be held. So there's no requirement for a write-in count.
Any other public comment? Ms. Mason.
Thank you. Sorry, I was waiting till the end. I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to speak. David Mayeski, the Fire Company. Just wanted to throw some reminders out. I'm here on behalf of Captain Moore this evening. October is Fire Prevention Month. Please remember to check your batteries and your smoke and CO detectors in your home. If your smoke detectors are over 10 years old, or your CO detectors for that matter, please, they do have a 10-year lifespan on them. If you need a smoke detector, please stop by the fire station. We have some to give to you at no cost to you. And then in addition, if you need help installing them, we can do that too. It might just a little bit more of a coordinated process. Make sure you have the correct staffing and we're not on call. Following on Fire Prevention Month open house is Saturday, October 28th from 11 to 3. We invite you down to our home, check out our equipment, meet with our people, poster and essay contest award winners. We'll start at 12:30 that day. So we'll have giveaways and food, different county and state agencies that we work with on a regular basis. So please join us that day. In addition, thank you to all who have attended our food truck fundraisers. The last one for the year is Thursday, 10/19, which is next Thursday, believe it or not, already 5 to 8 p.m. at the fire station. And finally, on Sunday, we will be having a promotional ceremony and press conference at the fire station at 10 a.m. I think the majority of the council will be there, but we invite the community to join us as well as we celebrate the promotion and honor 20 years of service for one of our members that day. So again, 10 a.m. I'm a night owl, most people aren't. 10 a.m. Sunday at the fire station. If anybody has any questions or concerns for the fire company, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Brian Madaway, 628 Delaware Street. I'd like to first start by thanking Mr. Barthel for your service and commitment to the city. You'll be missed and wish you well in retirement, sir. Thank you. I also would like to thank the Sea Level Rise Committee for its continued efforts in championing and safeguarding activity. And I certainly want to thank Ms. Real for her contribution. As a resident who lives at 6th and Delaware, I know there's been a lot of ongoing conversations about that lighted intersection. One of the ones that I haven't seen much talked about is the lighting. So when it gets dark and, people are going up and down the street, it's really hard to see coming through that four-way. So I understand it's a state highway, but something can be done to brighten and illuminate, that area, perhaps maybe, and create a better safety atmosphere. Then finally, I just wanted to highlight an upcoming community event that's worthy and, it's occurring this weekend. The Newcastle, Sailing Club is doing a beach cleanup. We're all affected by pollution. I'll be out there. The event is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Please come by, say hello, and check us out. I'll be easily identified. I'll have a hat that says Historic Newcastle Day. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Can I just make a suggestion? I think I heard that the rent for this place, for the council to use is going up to $250 per meeting.
Yeah.
But it is the senior center and they were in need of money. So don't you think we may, until you find another place, it may be my suggestion, $250, maybe for the benefit of the senior citizens of this city.
Yeah, it does benefit the senior center when we rent the facility from them, right?
And it's a very open space, nice space.
Okay, anyone? Move on to, the ordinance 542 that we had the public hearing on earlier this evening. We don't need to do a full second reading, but just do it by title. An ordinance to amend chapter A 236 affirmative, A 236-1 intent, and A 236-3 promotion of equal opportunity programs to eliminate discrimination. We heard earlier on this, and now there's time for council discussion. Some issues were raised during the public hearing. Do you have anything to say to that?
We're basically going with what the state has. And see if there's any difference what they have in what we doing, adding that to our area, protect us.
And I know there was some concerns. Go ahead, Mr. Zabaka.
Oh, that's okay.
I was just gonna say concerns were raised about making the city potentially subject to liability on this score, but if Mr. Weber or Mr. Walton can perhaps help us with this, if that's already state law, are we already subject to that liability if we violate it?
Without waiving attorney-client privilege, I did ask, I do not practice employment law. I did have one of our attorneys who does practice employment law review this particular ordinance. What I didn't want to do is have something where you guys were above and beyond what the state law requires. I didn't want to add that in, and if we were going to add that in, that you guys go in with your eyes wide open. My colleague Lauren DeLuca, who reviewed it, says all these provisions are within state law already, so it makes it consistent with state law.
Which we already have to follow, even if we don't pass this, right?
Yes.
And
Sure, go ahead.
And so I just want to add to that point, I'm not a lawyer whatsoever, so don't want to be not an official comment in that sense, but to the point Mr. Bellini mentioned about federal funding, I figured if we're aligned to the state, and it seems like we are, they are receiving federal funding. I don't think we would lose federal funding just by looking at that, equation. So that was something that I was thinking about, and good point, but I think we should check into it, but by that logic. And then I think somebody else, Mr. Gross, I think mentioned, there's no problem to, introduce this, but we all have to, well, first of all, it's part of the state human resources statement of equal EOC, right? So it's something we already should have anyways. So if anything, we're resolving a problem, but not that we don't have it already in our statement. But in general life, we don't have to wait for things to just be reactive to things, but we also have to be proactive about some things, so we can't always just wait for a problem to arise to say, oh, the water is now, knee deep in our basement, we have to go to Miss Real or Miss Souter to raise a task force for sea level. We know it's rising, so we can, we can prep for these things in life in general, so this is a similar matter where we know something is right, so to add this to our, city's, equal opportunity, it just sounds the right thing to do without having any issues so far, I guess. That makes sense. Thank you. Just my opinion.
If there's no other comments, then are we ready to call for a vote? All in favor? Aye.
You need a roll call.
Oh,
You need a roll
we
call.
need a roll call vote.
Yeah, you need a motion.
You need a motion.
Okay, do I have a, here, thank you, keeping me straight here. Do we hear a motion to have a roll call vote on this ordinance?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Motion to approve this ordinance.
So move. Second.
Okay, and now may we have a roll call vote, Ms. Ray, please?
Andrew Zelt,
Yes.
Nermin Zubaka,
Yes.
Suzanne Souter,
Yes. And then we have two items of new business. The first is resolution 2023-31, a resolution appointing Cynthia Batty as planning commission representative to the Historic Area Commission to fulfill the unexpired term of Matthew Lovell. Do I have a motion to read this ordinance?
Second.
Before I read it, I will say that this liaison position is in our code. It's not just something we're doing. Because the planning commission and the historic area commission do have to work together on certain issues and make sure that they're not actually in conflict with each other. So this is not something new to have this representative. So I'm going to read the resolution. Whereas the Newcastle City Code provides that the city council shall appoint one member of the planning commission to serve on the historic area commission. And whereas the current term of the planning commission representative to the historic area commission has been vacated. And whereas the city council has nominated Cynthia Batty to serve as the planning commission representative on the historic area commission to fulfill the unexpired term of Matthew Lovell. Now therefore be it resolved, the city council hereby appoints planning commission member Cynthia Batty to act as a planning commission's representative on the historic area commission with that term ending November 12th, 2025. So call for a vote.
Comments?
Oh, pardon me. Yes. Any comments from council members? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance or resolution? Pardon me. Okay, all in favor of this resolution? Aye. Okay, the resolution is passed. If I run out of steam, I may ask somebody else to read this one. It's part of it, but I'll start. And the final item on the agenda for tonight is resolution 2023-32. And this resolution is a resolution converting the temporary task force of citizens to research existing information concerning the impact of sea level rise on the city of Newcastle to a standing flood resiliency committee. Do I have a motion to read the resolution? Okay, all in favor? Okay, I will start. We'll see where I get. It is a little long because we have to cover a number of technical issues. Whereas by resolution 2022-04 adopted unanimously on March 8th, 2022, the city council established a temporary task force concerning the impact of sea level rise on the city of Newcastle. And whereas this task force has completed the goals established for it by resolution 2022-04, including learning about the Natural Resources Conservation Service Program to mitigate flooding, then applying for and gaining acceptance by this program. And whereas the NRCS program will continue for approximately 3 years, including an engineering study and construction. And whereas the NRCS administrator in Delaware expressed a desire for the task force to continue to serve as a liaison between the NRCS and the city of Newcastle for the duration of the project. And whereas the current sea level rise task force wishes to broaden the scope of its activities to evaluate flooding in the city of Newcastle caused by things other than the rising levels of the Delaware River, non-riverine, this is called non-riverine flooding. And whereas the Vulnerability Assessment and Adaptation Plan of 2018 included the following recommendation, section CE1. Transition Flood Preparedness Task Force into standing committee with long-term role in advising the city on future actions and further engaging residents and businesses. Now, therefore, it is hereby resolved by the City Council that the temporary task force be converted to a standing committee to be known as the Flood Resiliency Committee for the purpose of serving as a liaison with the NRCS for the duration of their project in the city of Newcastle and beginning the study of non-riverine flooding in the city and researching possible solutions to this and potential funding sources. The committee will build upon the work of the task force and upon previous studies on this issue, including those by the Vulnerability Assessment and Adaptation Plan of 2018, DENREC, the Delaware Emergency Management Agency, DEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and the Newcastle County Conservation District, and others as the committee identifies as relevant and useful. And be it further resolved that the structure and goals of this committee shall be as follows. The committee shall be composed of no fewer than 5 and no more than 9 residents, except as provided in number 3 below, of the City Council to be appointed of this, residents, except as provided in number 3 below, of the City of Newcastle to be appointed by the City Council. The current members of the former task force shall continue to serve on the standing committee with the following staggered expiration dates of their terms. Current members are eligible for reappointment at the expiration of their terms. Upon expiration of these staggered terms, members of the committee shall be appointed for 3-year terms. The current members are Frederick Gallagher, who is representing the trustees of the Newcastle Commons. Term expires June 30, 2025. Mary Letitia Gallagher, term expires June 30, 2024. Michael Marinelli, term expires December 31st, 2023. Timothy Moore, representing the Goodwill Fire Company, term expires June 30th, 2024. Richard Pennell, term expires December 31st, 2023. Alice Reel, term expires June 30th, 2025. Dale Seitz, term expires December 31st, 2024. Sandra Taylor, term expires December 31st, 2024. Additional appointments may be made by resolution of City Council. Number 3, in making such appointments, the council shall strive to include residents from throughout the city of Newcastle. It would be preferable that the task force also include representatives, 1 each, from Goodwill Fire Company and the trustees of the Newcastle Commons. The representative of Goodwill Fire Company need not be a resident of the city of Newcastle. Number 4, the committee shall select a chairperson from among its members and may establish rules of procedure for the conduct of such meetings. The chair shall be elected each October for a term of 1 year. No one shall serve as chair for more than 2 consecutive years. In accordance with the State of Delaware Freedom of Information Act, all meetings of the committee shall be open to the public. Minutes of all meetings shall be maintained and made publicly available, and the dates and agendas for committee meetings will be published 7 days in advance of said meeting. The committee shall meet at least once per quarter on a date of its choosing and more frequently as needed. Number 5, the city engineer, city planner, city solicitor, and city building official will serve as advisors to the task force on an as-requested basis, and they shall do so unless otherwise determined by the city council. The committee may also solicit information and advice from third parties, whether from governmental sources, academia, or otherwise, who can assist it in its work. By this resolution, the council approves a budget not to exceed $5,000 for the duration of the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. Thereafter, the city shall include a line item for this committee in its annual budget. Should the committee find the need for additional funding, it shall make a request to city council. The city administrator shall be advised of any third parties engaged by the committee to facilitate the billing and payment for their services. Number 6, the goals of this committee shall be to serve as liaison between the NRCS and the city of Newcastle. 2, to assist in arranging such public meetings as the NRCS contractor shall require for the duration of the project. 3, to keep the city council and residents of the city of Newcastle informed of the status of the work of the NRCS. 4, to review non-riverine flooding within the city of Newcastle, including review of prior studies of these problems. Number 5, to investigate and consider possible solutions to identify non-riverine flooding problems. Number 6, to work with agencies of the state of Delaware, such as, but not limited to, DNREC and DELDOT, regarding resolution of flooding problems in the city of Newcastle. Number 7, to make recommendations to the city council regarding actions required to mitigate non-riverine flooding problems. Number 8, to identify potential funding sources such as DEMA, FEMA, and others for the cost of increasing resiliency to flooding and what portion of the costs they are likely to cover. No. Any discussion of this resolution?
All right, one question at the members.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to be self-nominated as a city council representative.
I was not, when I initiated the Sea Level Rise Task Force, so I've been attending the meetings simply as a point of information to follow what they're doing and serve as liaison back to council. And I see no reason to change that, but thank you.
Other than that,
Okay. All in favor, is there a motion to vote on- motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
second,
Okay, all in favor of approving this resolution?
aye.
If we're finished, is there a motion to adjourn?
Everybody.